They're telling us the front two rows are reserved for veterans.
I thought so. I mean, you actually feel free to sit next wherever.
We can still the front two rows.
I'll sit back to it.
Yes, you've been here long enough. We'll call you up there.
Well, everybody, that's who you go out and let. Good job. How about that? There's an honor dispatcher right there. All right, again.
Yeah.
Didn't know who you were, dressed up over there, boy, I know, they all in right there. Some real clean thing. Ron ain't doing too bad.
Y'all ain't making.
I'll call your secretary. Oh, your mama's not here right now. Looking at why you know how. I know.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being here, and I'd like to welcome everyone here. Today, we're here to gather and honor our veterans. We took an oath when we enlisted in the military that we are willing to sacrifice our lives for this great nation, and that oath is not taken lightly. Thank you, veterans, for your courage, strength, and dedication to keeping us safe. At this time, I'd like to introduce Milton Sanders and ask him to come to the podium for a prayer.
Good afternoon, each and every one of you. It was great to be asked to do this. I feel anytime it has to do with God works, we just have to step out there on faith. So we bow our head. Eternal God, how we thank you for this day, a day that you didn't promise us. We thank you for watching over us last night. We slept and slumbered. This morning, you touched us with a finger of love. Then thank you for what you have done, what you're gonna do. I pray for each and every veteran, near and far, the ones that's on their way. Now, God, I pray for the staff here, the understanding, the communication, get together for one another, hear and understand. We don't take it lightly. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone, no matter who we are or where we are. And God, I give you all the praise and the glory. In your son, Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to now introduce Anthony Jones, who's going to be playing our national anthem. Please stand. Please be seated. Thank you very much, Anthony, for that. We appreciate it. Next, I have the privilege of introducing our guest speaker. He's from the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs. Command Sergeant Major retired Stephen Veazey joined the Army National Guard in 1979 and went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, where he graduated with honors. He then returned to his unit, where he served in every position from private to sergeant major. And for those of you who have not been in the military, that's an accomplishment, a big accomplishment. In 2001, he deployed to Bosnia as a first sergeant for Delta Company 1, 153rd Infantry. In 2003, he was promoted to command sergeant major. And in 2004, he deployed as a battalion command sergeant major to Baghdad, Iraq. In 2007, he took over as the brigade command sergeant major and deployed to Iraq a second time in charge of 3,000 soldiers. After 3 deployments in 2011, he assumed the duties of the state command sergeant major, which consisted of 7,500 soldiers and their families' well-being. He then was selected as the senior enlisted leader for Arkansas Army Air National Guard. He is a graduate of Keystone and the United States Command Sergeant Major Academy. His awards include the Legion of Merit, 2 Bronze Stars, Meritorious Service Ribbon, Combat Infantry Medal, and several other awards. After 44 years of service to our nation, Command Sergeant Major Veazey retired in August of 2023 and now works for the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs. He lives in Sheridan, Arkansas with his wife, Leanna, of 43 years. They have 2 kids and 7 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. He belongs to the East Union Baptist Church. Please help me welcome Command Sergeant Major Stephen Veazey.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of the Arkansas Department of Veteran Affairs and Secretary Penn, thank you for letting us come into your home, doing a little cross-pollinating here. But Anthony, where'd he go? That was a great job. I was telling him before we got started, in our church, they let me sing in the choir. They just don't let me sing and clap my hands at the same time in the choir. So I really respect anybody that can do that. That was amazing, amazing. So 44 years in the military, and then about a year and a half ago, I transitioned into the civilian world. It's the most scariest time of my entire life. That transition is not for sissies, but I am who I am now. I'm a veteran, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of every one of our veterans. And so if you're a veteran in this room, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Let's give them a round of applause. I'm not going to bore you for a long time, but I got 2 questions for you this morning, and they're both kind of into little speeches here. But the first question is, I want to ask you, what is a veteran? Let me try to explain to you. Some veterans bear visible signs of their service, i.e. loss of a limb, a jagged scar, or a certain look in their eye, while others may carry the evidence inside of them, a pin holding a bone together, a piece of shrapnel or in the leg, or perhaps another sort of inner steel that's forged in their soul as a refinery of adversity. You can't tell a vet by just looking, but what is a vet? Well, he or she is a cop that's on the beat that spent the last 12 months in Saudi Arabia sweating 2 gallons a day, making sure their armored personnel carrier did not run out of fuel. She or he is a nurse that fought futility and went to sleep every night crying for 2 solid years in Da Nang. Or he is a POW that went away one person and came back another. Or maybe did not come back at all. He might be a Quantico drill instructor who has never seen combat, but has saved many lives by turning slouchy, no-good rednecks and gang members into Marines and teaching them to have each other's backs. She is a parade riding legionnaire who pins her ribbons on with a prosthetic hand, or a quartermaster who watched the ribbons and medals pass them by. Or maybe he's just one of those 3 anonymous heroes at the tomb of the unknowns, whose presence at Arlington Cemetery must forever preserve the memory of all autonomous heroes whose valor dies unrecognized with them on the battlefield or in the ocean's sunless deep. He's that old guy bagging groceries at the supermarket, palsy now, aggravatingly slow, who helped liberate a Nazi death camp, and who wishes all day long that his wife was still alive to hold him when the nightmares come. He or she is an ordinary yet extraordinary human being, a person who offered some of their lives, most vital years of their lives, in service to the country and sacrificed their ambitions so that others might have not to sacrifice theirs. They are the soldier and the savior and the sword against darkness of evil. He or she is nothing more than the greatest testimony on behalf of the greatest nation ever known. So now I've told you what a veteran to me is, but I want to ask you another question. And we did the national anthem, and a lot of times we did the Pledge of Allegiance to that flag right there. But I ask you this afternoon, if that flag could talk today, what would that flag say to you as veterans? What would it say to you as civilians? What would it say to our government today or to the world today? Well, let me tell you what I believe it might say. And it might get a little loud, so bear with me, okay? I believe that if our flag could speak, these are the words it would say. I am the flag of the United States of America, and my name is Old Glory. I fly at the top of the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over the great institutions of learning, and I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident, and I am brave, and I am proud, and I am ready. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher. My colors are a little truer. I bow my head to no one except for my God. I am recognized all over the world. I am saluted. I am loved. I am honored. I am respected, and yet I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. I was flown at Valley Forge, at Gettysburg, at Shiloh. I was there at San Juan Hill, in the trenches of France, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Korea, Vietnam, know me. I was there in Baghdad, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Syria, and scores of other places long forgotten by all, except those that were with me. I know because I was there. I led my special operations in the quiet of the night. And at the tip of the spear, I saw them fight fearlessly throughout the globe, 365 days a year. I watched them over them, even through the casualties of Desert One, and they still love me. It was upon a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty. I was battle worn, and I was tired. But my troops, they picked me up and they cheered me on, and I was so very proud. I was there at Ground Zero in New York City when cowardly terrorists bloodied our great nation. But when brave response workers gave their lives to save others, and firefighters raised me out of the rubble to show the world, you cannot defeat me because I am the symbol for freedom. Folks, I've been burned, I've been torn, and I've been trampled in the streets of countries that I've even set free. And it saddens me to say I've even been soiled upon, burned, torn, and trampled in my own streets of my own country. And let me tell you, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth, and I've stood overwatch of the uncharted frontiers of space from my vantage point of the moon. I have bore silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But hear me, my finest hour is yet to come. When I'm torn into strips and used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield, or when I'm flown at half-mast to honor my soldiers, my airmen, my sailors, my Marines, my Coast Guardsmen, and now my Space Force. Or when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving parent at the grave of their fallen son or their daughter. Let it be known, I will never quit. I will never accept defeat, for I represent freedom. Because we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God. Long may I wave. Thank you.
Now, thank you, Command Sergeant Major Beasy. Now we would like to recognize all of our veterans. I know some who could not be here today, but those of you that are in the room, please stand and remain standing until all names are called. Jason Bolenbaugh, U.S. Air Force. Ryan Brown, U.S. Navy, SEAL. Brandon Creer, U.S. Air Force. Tommy Edgman, U.S. Army. Eric Fawcett, Jr., U.S. Army. Ryan Hayden, U.S. Air Force. Casey Jackson, U.S. Army. Mitchell Kennedy, U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard. Chris Crow, U.S. Navy. Michael Lowry, U.S. Air Force. Todd Mercer, U.S. Navy. Glenn Owens, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps. Jason Romes, U.S. Navy. Glenn Owens, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps. Milton Sanders, U.S. Army. Mike Shin, U.S. Air Force. Grover Lee Smith, Army National Guard. Perry Stokes, U.S. Marine Corps and Army National Guard. Mark Strang, U.S. Air Force and Air National Guard. Melody Walker, U.S. Navy. Grant Wright, U.S. Army. Let's give these folks a round of applause. You may be seated. Thank you. I just want to give a little, I didn't really plan on this, but I thought I'd kind of tell you a little story about myself and in the military. I went in much older than most people. I was 25 years old when I went into basic training. I'd been a prison guard for the state of North Carolina. So I thought, I can handle it. No problem. Guys yelling at you, that's going to be about it. That's nothing compared to anything that you've been through. And those of us who've been through it know. I think they purposely bring you in at like 11 o'clock at night. They force you into a meal where you literally stand in line and all they're doing is yelling at you heel to toe. And you're figuring, what is heel to toe? The bus driver gets off and says, all right, go stand in line. And then you see that you hear the TI's clacks of their feet coming on the concrete. And then they line you up in a chow line and yell heel to toe, heel to toe. And everybody's like, first you didn't understand what they were yelling, and second, couldn't figure out what to do. But they wanted your toe to touch the heel of the guy in front of you. That's how close they wanted you to be. So they gave you about 2 minutes to eat. And if you were the last guy to get to eat, you didn't get much, but you had to drink your 2 glasses of water. That was the rule. You didn't have to eat, but you had to drink your 2 glasses of water. We were in San Antonio, Texas, and it was August. It was hot. Then they bring you out to your barracks, and the bus driver once again says, get out there, get in lines of 4, and you stand there and you wait, and you wait, and it's probably 1 o'clock in the morning, hot, and then you hear the TI's clicks of his feet again. You hear him coming along. You're thinking, oh my God. And he starts yelling at you about your luggage, about what you're wearing, you know. And the common line is, I've got 6 weeks to make you pieces of something the United States Air Force would be proud of. And we did an exercise that night of unity by being taught to pick up our luggage and put it down all at the same time. And that took us about 25 minutes of pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. So after about the 3rd day, and you went to bed about 2 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, they came in with the garbage can lids just banging everybody up, throwing people out of their bunks and yelling, fall out, go downstairs underneath the overhangs where we did in the Air Force. And after about 3 days, I thought, you know, I could escape out one of those windows. I could get out of one of those windows. This was the craziest thing I'd ever done. I had 2 children and a wife, and I thought, I need to be back home. This is nuts. But I made it, served 11 and a half years in the Air Force, did 4 in Bitburg, Germany, I was a tech school instructor out in Lowry Air Force Base in Colorado, and then came here to Arkansas. And there's one thing in the military, and you can see it here just amongst people that are here. No matter what branch you were in, or no matter what, there's a bond. And I have people on Facebook that I talk to that I was stationed with over in Germany back in from 1985 to 1989. You know, best friends, and that's what it is. It's an adventure. Some people, I was lucky enough not to go to battle. I did have to prepare, materials for them, but it was a real adventure, and I really appreciated it. And I appreciate being a veteran. I'm really glad to have served my country. My father served in Germany. He was a German citizen, and he was in World War II. He served on the Russian front, was injured on the Russian front, and he didn't talk much about his stories. He was very quiet, but he did leave a memoir that we didn't know about until he passed away. He had written it in a book, and he gave it to each one of us, and it meant a lot to me. Meant a lot to me. And even to the day that he passed away, even though he became a U.S. citizen, the German government still paid him for being injured on the Russian front as a German soldier. So that's a little bit about my military background. At this point, I'd like to thank each one of our soldiers and sailors, Marines, Airmen, Coast Guard, National Guardsmen, and our reservists, past and present, who answered our nation's call to duty. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Refreshments in the back. Please help yourself to some tea, water, or some sweet.